Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new series on the channel. This series is called What Does This Deck Do? And it's something I've been meaning to do for a while now. This is a series of bite-sized small videos describing decks in a format and informing on what their core cards are and what their game plan is from a high-level overview. The goal of the series is to inform people newer to these formats on what decks are available in a format and how those decks operate, as well as what other formats this deck relates to. To begin, for the first time ever, we're going to be starting with Legacy as our sole focus for the next few weeks. And to kick things off, we're going to be starting with Legacy Tempo variants, otherwise known as Legacy Delver decks. Legacy Tempo is a cornerstone of the Legacy format and has been for a very long time. These decks have comparable variations in other formats such as Izzet Murktide in Modern or Dimir Terror in Pauper. They're decks that are built to be extremely efficient and are often fair decks that win through combat by attacking the opponent. Furthermore, Tempo decks in Legacy are often great decks for players newer to the format as a whole. They teach fundamentals like casting Brainstorm and Ponder, how to use Force of Will, and general raw gameplay knowledge needed to understand Legacy as a format. We can't begin to talk about Legacy Tempo without first discussing the core tenets of the strategy. Legacy Tempo decks are seeking typically to win the game via combat, so they often play very efficient threats that are able to be deployed early in the game to begin accelerating what we refer to as the clock, which is the amount of time an opponent has left where their life total is 0. In addition, Legacy Tempo decks often boast the best card selection in the format, leaning on the fact that Legacy is a format where you can play 4 copies of Brainstorm in a deck. Because many of these spells are very efficient, this often means that the mana in these decks is equally efficient, leaning on dual lands and the usage of things like Wasteland to develop their board state while dealing with opposing players' board states. In many cases, these decks also play cards that generate additional card advantage to make it through to the late game. The core cards of Legacy Tempo are generally considered to be the Cantrip Cartel of Brainstorm and Ponder, free counter magic like Force of Will and Daze, and land destruction like Wasteland. This combination of cards, when paired with the numerous efficient threats this deck gains access to, allows the deck to minimize variance and deal with whatever the opponent may be doing. Daze especially is a highly contentious card in the shell that to a lot of players, as playing around Daze can often lead to scenarios where the Tempo player may pull ahead an advantage. Force of Will is also a heavily required card in Legacy Blue decks, as while it's generally card disadvantage most of the time, it is a free counterspell that can stop players from attempting combo-based strategies that try to win on early turns of the game. Brainstorm and Ponder are the bread and butter of Legacy Blue decks, allowing incredible card selection and sculpting of the hand to ensure the best possible set of cards to win the game. Wasteland, while being a land drop, is often necessary to pull ahead. In fact, one of the most common lines of gameplay with a Legacy Tempo deck is to deploy a threat on turn 1, daze a removal spell or possible scary card on your opponent's turn, and then play Wasteland on your following turn to destroy your opponent's non-basic land. Likewise, the core threats of the Tempo shell have been very numerous over time. The original Tempo threat is of course Delver of Secrets. Delver represents the truest representation of the clock aspect of these decks. By flipping early, the card can begin attacking for 3 in the air every turn and quickly punish the opponent's life total to 0. Oftentimes, however, when there are other threats that are either more efficient or do much more for 1 mana, Delver is generally the first of these threats to be cut from these other cards. Currently in 2024 Legacy, cards like Nethergoyf, Dragon's Rage Channeler, and Psychic Frog have proven to be extremely powerful threats that are typically stronger than Delver of Secrets. Even so, many players will still call one of these decks Delver, as that terminology has become synonymous with the Tempo strategy. In fact, oftentimes there have been threats for this deck that have been banned due to the interaction that they have with the core shell of the deck. Some examples of cards like this include Renin 6, Ragavan Nimble Pilferer, and Deathrite Shaman. 2 of these cards continue to be legal in formats like Modern today, but their interaction with the core shell of the Legacy Tempo deck has led to them being overpowering with more efficient means. While most Tempo decks are generally fair decks, Legacy in 23 to 2024 experienced a shift in this regard with the advent of the Tempo Reanimator shells. This deck combines elements of the Tempo shell and elements of the Reanimator shell, including incredibly threatening Reanimator targets like Atraxa Grand Unifier and Archon of Cruelty alongside cards like Psychic Frog to enable them. Much of this change was brought about by the printings of cards like Troll of Khazad-dûm from the Lord of Rings set, as well as Orcish Bowmasters. There are numerous resources you can find on the internet to explore Legacy Tempo decks further. Primarily, there is the Legacy Delver Discord servers, which I will link in the video description. In addition, there are several prominent players that play Delver/Tempo decks, such as Rich Callie and Bosch&Roll. Also, there are numerous YouTube videos that you can search up to watch raw gameplay of Legacy Tempo decks in order to help you get a feel for playing this kind of strategy. In short, Legacy Tempo is a strong cornerstone of the Legacy format, and well worth checking out to gain a strong fundamental knowledge of Legacy. It rewards strong gameplay skills and critical thinking, and is a very skillful deck to play. I want to thank everyone for watching. I'll be doing more of these as the week goes on for different decks and strategies in the Legacy format. After I feel reasonably comfortable with this video format, and with having done as much of Legacy as I could muster, I will probably be doing a similar series on Pauper and Vintage. Remember, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and hit the bell to be notified for any future videos. What deck would you like to see me cover next? Sound off in the comments below. With that said, have a great week, and we'll see you next time.